I'm now joined by Mary Trump, niece of the failed former president. She's the host of the remarkable podcast, The Mary Trump Show. She's the author of the books Too Much and Never Enough and The Reckoning. Mary, thank you for being with us. We appreciate you talking to us. I don't know if you've had a chance, because it just came out this morning, to have a look at this documentary in which they interview Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, Ivanka Trump. Donald Trump, in typical fashion, did not decline to talk to the documentarian about January 6th. It does seem that he truly believes that this was a vehicle for the anger, the justified anger that Americans were feeling at a stolen election.
Well, whether he believes that it was justified or not, it's certainly the story that serves him best, right? Because it helps him evade direct responsibility for the insurrection, which we all know he was directly responsible for. So once again, he's deflecting and blaming other people in his usual fashion, in the hopes that that will be enough to, once again in his life, evade accountability.
Interestingly enough, one of the things that you talked about is that Donald Trump is worried about what Pat Cipollone may have said. We don't know enough about what Pat Cipollone said now, except that he didn't seem to obviously contradict anything that had happened before. But there's a reason. I mean, Donald Trump sort of has a cadre of loyalists around him who he can probably always rely on, or mostly until the moment that they're about to go to jail. But for some reason, you think he's unduly worried about Pat Cipollone. Why?
Because he was in the room. He has credibility. He understands that his job was to defend the presidency, not the person in the office. And Donald also knows that Pat Cipollone at this point has absolutely no reason to lie or to take a bullet for Donald by covering for him. So that's one reason. It's also because it's just one more person out there confirming the stories that we've been hearing for a while now that put Donald at the center of the insurrection. And I think it's of a piece with so many other things that are going on right now, both in New York and Georgia, et cetera. So although Donald has gotten away with everything his entire life, so in some senses, I'm sure he feels impervious, he can't help but notice that the evidence against him is piling up, and it's being confirmed.
Let's listen to a little bit more of this documentary, because I am intrigued by the difference in response to the documentarian that Donald Trump had versus his kids. Let's listen to a little more of this together.
You have to prove that you will do anything for him.
Ivanka, where's Ivanka?
Ivanka had been trying to convince her father to concede the election.
She was very uncomfortable with the president's lie after the election, but she would never utter anything herself to establish that disagreement.
And Don Jr., recognizing the opportunity to outflank Ivanka and get closer to Trump, stepped in.
When you're at a disadvantage, you don't take your ball and go home. You get out there and you fight harder.
He was fully on board with the idea that the election was being stolen, that it was being rigged.
I know people that have gotten 5 or 6 ballots to their home.
Everyone knows what's going on.
Let's get out there. Let's kick some ass. Let's win.
He knew that's what his father wanted to hear.
Talk to me about that dynamic. Mary, you've watched it for a long time through your life, but it was interesting to see how this evolved. Ivanka Trump, including in her testimony before January 6th, sort of saying, I kind of knew that something was off here. Donald Trump Jr. has never taken that position. He's in there more than the ex-president is himself.
Well, it says a lot about this family's dynamic that the only way for Donald's oldest child to be accepted is for him to lie and to pretend he's a tough guy while throwing his sibling under the bus. We've known all along that these relationships are entirely transactional. And Ivanka clearly came down on the side of realizing that the only way for her to protect herself would be to stay out of it and not support Donald. Although, as you mentioned, she didn't say anything publicly. And I think that's a really important thing we all need to remember. This is not just about Donald or his family or even his inner circle. The entirety of, well, almost the entirety of Republicans in Congress also chose to say nothing, which has led us to this very fraught moment we're living in right now.
I was just talking to Frank Luntz about that, because what happened to Boris Johnson in the UK is telling. He also had a lot of supporters. He also had a lot of people who thought that his bluster was quaint and interesting. And even they said, we've had enough, something that has not yet happened in the United States. Now, it does seem, Frank was sort of saying that in the UK, these members of parliament, these cabinet ministers realized that Boris Johnson had become an albatross. He was going to weigh them down and they were going to lose because of him. That hasn't happened yet in the United States. Do you see it happening?
I think there will come a time when somebody like Ron DeSantis seems a more attractive candidate, which is kind of a horrifying thing to say because Ron DeSantis is so incredibly dangerous. But Ali, this party cannot be allowed to pretend that the problem is Donald Trump. The problem is that for years they enabled him, they supported him, and they basically made use of him to ram through policies that will help them maintain minority power forever. So it's the entire party that needs to be indicted. And if we allow them to claim successfully that the only problem is Donald, and once we get rid of Donald, the Republican Party will be just fine, I think that we're headed to some very dark times.
That is a key and important point for us never to remember. It becomes very easy to concentrate on Donald Trump all the time, but there's more to it than that. Mary, good to see you as always. Thank you. Mary Trump is the niece of Donald Trump, the host of the podcast, The Mary Trump Show, and the author of the books Too Much and Never Enough and The Reckoning. Up next.